Hello everybody, this is normally a gaming news channel, not a movie review channel, so this is probably gonna be a one-off. However, the Cuties have caused a lot of controversy, and because I had a Netflix subscription, I thought I may as well check it out. It was morbid curiosity. The controversy that it caused was whether this is coming-of-age film or whether this is child pornography. It's to a point where warnings have had to be put on some websites that state that legally this is child pornography and you can't save footage of this and that you should know. Mainly it was IMDb with that warning. And obviously Netflix had to set it to 17 plus, not 18 plus. That's a fairly weird selection. So I thought I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna investigate it, and I'm gonna come back with my findings, whether it's one or the other. And honestly, I am so conflicted. I am so conflicted because about half the movie is actually quite okay and has quite a bit of story. And the ending of the film is also quite okay. And then the other half of the movie is so outrageous that at about 27 minutes remaining, I was all like, I got this far. I may as well continue going, but it didn't feel good. Like it felt like I was watching them try and do crazier and crazier things with the child actress, and because I know that the child actress is herself a child, that they went through 650 casting actresses in order to find just the right cuties. It feels like I am watching someone that has been exploited to make this, which feels extra bad. It's not just because the subject itself lends itself to child pornography and pedophilia so easily, but it's also because you know that they told child actresses to do these things, and it's not even the scenes that internet told you were outrageous, such as them dancing. There were far worse things, such as having exposed underwear and working in the middle of an exorcism in said underwear, and scenes like that. Scenes where it's just, at some points you could even see, I think it was pain on the child actress's face, and I felt so bad because it legitimately felt like somebody was being forced to film something illegal. They were filming something that is actually quite illegal. I don't know why it's on Netflix, but I don't know whether they actually forced the actress to do this, whether this was normal. It's hard to find words, but once again I'm conflicted because half of this film is alright, and at the very start, for about 20 minutes, it seemed like it was gonna be quite a good movie. The premise is that this family moves into France. They move into this condo that is run by their community, very religious community, and the father is getting a second wife. And it wrecks the mother emotionally. This is a new place. The girl finds it out not directly from her mother, but by overhearing her mother crying about it, while she also starts to cry. She has to try and belong to a school in a completely different culture than what she is used to. She doesn't fit in very well. Everybody's kind of technology savvy. She isn't. She's poor. She ends up stealing things at point, and it would be the kind of story that can devolve very fast to show you what can happen to children when they're growing up without all that much supervision because their parents are busy in a family that's not very stable or very supportive that she hides a lot of things from. So at the start, like, you get the premise and you're like, this is actually quite a good movie. And then it starts inputting scenes that are not necessary. So let's begin from this. She is in the new school. She comes out from the toilet. Her kids were already bullying her. They bullied her for her appearance. They threw her backpack around. She desperately wants to belong and to fit in with them. And she comes back from the bathroom and they're watching porn. Like, the girls are talking about a woman that's supposedly giving to a guy. And they think that it's gonna be funny to give her a phone and to send her into a boy's bathroom to make her film their organs. And she does it. And you can see, like, horror on her face, and it's well shot and everything. But if this was my school, like, that boy was like, what's wrong with you? Get out of here. Are you filming me? Why didn't he go to the principal? Like, if this was my school, this is already where parents would have gotten involved, and it would have been a huge, big issue that would have been raised. It wouldn't just be passed off as absolutely nothing. Then she goes off and she steals herself a phone. She steals herself a phone from a person that she probably knows. It's a man. He seems to live in the same building as her. And apparently he told the man that she didn't find the phone. Like, it just went missing. We know this from, like, a scene that's a lot further into the movie than this. That it just went missing. But okay, she is using internet on that phone. I am assuming that their apartment building does not necessarily have Wi-Fi, because I haven't seen a single computer and nobody seems to be very technologically savvy. So she is using phone internet, and phone internet tends to be paid for. Is he paying to bill to a phone that he lost? Is that what happening? Why would you pay for a phone that you lost? Why would you pay that bill? And where does she find the charger? Because she uses that quite often, and she gets on social media. She creates a profile for herself on seemingly what looks like to be their version of Twitter. I don't know how she knows how to do all of these things, because her family is not portrayed as a technologically savvy family. Her family is portrayed as being very, very traditional and out of a different culture. They're not the kind of people that will engage with this, but she's just a natural with it. And for some reason, the guy continues paying her phone bill. So she continues having access to it. Now, the girls accept her over time. Like, she makes some friends, and because one of the girls lives with her in the same building as her. There are just scenes where they're like watching YouTube, and I blocked it out, okay? This is like their version of YouTube. So she's sitting with that friend, watching YouTube, watching dance videos now. And the dancer flashes her breast. I am gonna say that this is probably an adult dancer. I mean, it looks like it could be an adult breast. I am not sure. I am not sure the age of the girls in the video, but it's a YouTube video where somebody flashes their tit. And it's up there. It's on the site. I mean, they're not watching a porn site at the moment. They're watching a channel that's fully available. I am questioning, where would you find this? I am also questioning, why was that necessary? If you want to show the fact that she's getting sexualized by online content, I'm sorry, her 11-year-old friends were watching porn in the toilet previously. I'm pretty sure that that's more than enough sexualization. Okay? Now, furthermore, you get to a scene where they're having like these prayer meetings. They're having these religious meetings in their building. and she has a headscarf, and she puts that headscarf on, okay, like covers her face, and watches dance videos that look like that underneath that headscarf from the sounds of it with the sound on. How would you not notice it? Like, it's a scarf. Light would be flashing through it for one thing. She didn't direct the tent. It's a tiny bit of clothing. I understand that they wanted to show that, oh, she sneaks off to watch all these videos that wouldn't be normal. But not like this. Not inside a room with other people while you're hiding behind what is only a headscarf. I'm absolutely 100% sure that you would be found out if you did this, especially with such close proximity to other people. A lot of the scenes weren't necessary, okay, this wasn't necessary. The bathroom scene definitely wasn't necessary, the porn scene wasn't necessary. These scenes are actually okay because they're just showing that she's getting sexualized, it's just the way that they present it. Then you have a lot of kid stuff, kids hanging out, kids doing dancing. At this point, they still weren't doing like super dirty dancing and everything. And then you arrive at a point where one of them blows up a condom, and once again, I'm kind of conflicted, like 50-50, because she blows up a condom without knowing that it's a condom, and then her friends start screaming, and then they wash her mouth out with soap. I think the point was to show that these children are still children, but I think that you could have done this a better way. It does do comedic effect, but I'm not too sure that this was necessary. But okay, we're now with 59 minutes to go. We're like 30 minutes in. I am still fairly enjoying the movie. Then you arrive at the point where one of the girls from their team gets crossed with another girl because another girl was, I'm assuming, chatting on chat roulette. They all were, but they turned the camera on and they pointed it at one specific girl, and the person that they were chatting with got really offended, going, "Get off the internet, you kid," or something like that, and that girl took offense. That girl took harsh offense, so she wanted that girl off the dance group, and they decided to take the new girl in. The reason why they decided to take the new girl in is because she was showing them some risky moves that first she showed to her friend in the washing room. And this was the scene where she was humping the floor. The reason why I took a screenie of it is look at her face. This is the point where I was like, okay, they're exploiting the poor child actress because her face looks extremely unhappy. It looks sorrowful. It looks like somebody's holding a gun to her head. I don't think that this is what the scene was supposed to convey. I'm wondering, did she cry on set? Honestly, with some things that they were making her do, did she cry on set? Because this is the kind of face that you do when you're held at a gunpoint, and this is the kind of scene that you leave in when all of the other scenes have the child crying uncontrollably because you're forcing them to do this. It's a very uncomfortable scene, not just from a movie perspective, but from the actor perspective. And this is where it starts going downhill, but at first kind of slowly. So first of all, this movie has the weirdest representation of a period that I have ever seen. Before she gets her first period, she is helping her auntie, I want to say grandma, but it probably is an auntie, prepare food for her dad's second wedding. because her auntie was like, I'm gonna teach you how to be a woman. And she got woken up at a very early time and made to peel like 50 onions and cut them to pieces and boil them. And she is always like glancing at the clock because this is when they were supposed to be doing the preliminary dance in front of the judges to see if they qualify for a competition. And she wanted to be there because it's her friends and it's what she does. And she goes to her closet to get dressed in order to try and escape the auntie, and her wedding dress, the wedding dress for her father's wedding, not for her own wedding. I'm pretty sure that this is important. It starts bleeding. And she keeps on seeing these kind of hallucinations throughout the movie. And it's really weird because now we're halfway through and this is the first time that she actually hallucinated something. And it's always gonna be tied to that adulthood, to her dress and that kind of thing. But it kind of goes from being a coming-of-age story to being something fairly sexual, and then you get to this point, and the dress starts dripping in blood, and she just closes the door, and the movie continues. Like, my note here says, what the fuck? What the fuck? You haven't communicated that this is her interpretation of the world. You only start doing these hallucinations here halfway through the friggin' movie. It's definitely out of nowhere. And she gets late for the whole thing. They still pass the audition, but she gets late for the audition, so her friends are really cross at her because she didn't participate, so they had to go with one man down. And she comes back home and she's scolded by the auntie because she was supposed to be carrying the dish to the place and then going back with the auntie, but instead she ran off and her crotch is bloody, and the auntie writes it off as, oh, she had her first period, that's why she was misbehaving. Oh, it's okay, that's fine, because she doesn't know that she ran off to try and enter this dance competition and not just ran off to hide in a corner because her crotch started bleeding. But the dress scene is still sticking with me. This isn't just like a sexual scene that I would like removed. This is just a scene that I don't deem to be necessary. You're trying to establish the dress as some sort of portrayal of womanhood and portrayal of traditional womanhood by her own family's traditions quite specifically. But this is the first time when you start doing it, and you're doing it with such visuals that it comes off like it's in the wrong genre, and it comes off like it's conveyed wrong. That's not a good scene. So her friends get cross with her, but they made up. They go to a one of them laser fiery things, which is kind of appropriate for a kid, honestly, but they sneak in. They sneak in and they get caught. And the person there is all like, I am gonna call your parents. I'm gonna call your parents. And one of the girls has a bright idea to start calling him a rapist in order to get off the situation. Honestly, an okay scene, even in a coming-of-age movie. Okay scene, but what happens after is the weird bit. Because they start screaming because they get the notification that they were accepted into the competition, and the manager comes in. He's like, I'm gonna call the police. And the girls respond with, oh no, we are dancers, and we can prove it to ya. And they start playing music, and the black girl, that's the main character that you see on screen right now, she starts twerking at the manager, and this is the face that the manager makes while she's twerking. And then they get released scot-free because they twerked for him. And now this is the scene that not only doesn't make sense from human behavior perspective, but it's one of those scenes that are just crossing the line in this movie that didn't need to be there to portray and to get the effect that they wanted to get. But it's there because they just wanted to have it there. And once again, one of the reasons why the movie's leaning towards child pornography not a legitimate movie. Next scene. Okay, they were accepted. She enters the school, and she enters the school with a new outfit. We haven't established that she stole any money outside of stealing her relatives, I want to say. Person that lives in the same apartment phone. That was the only thing that she stole so far. She enters the school with a new outfit. Now, her closet is shown quite a few times. She doesn't have clothes like that. My question is, where did she get them from? And how didn't she just get sent home when she entered a classroom? I went to a public school. We didn't have uniforms. We didn't even have outfit rules. But if an 11-year-old walked in wearing that, I am pretty sure parents would be called in. That is not an appropriate top, even if she could be wearing the leather pants due to her angstiness. Now, after that scene, they go outside, and for some reason, 17-year-olds pick on them. They're now semi-popular. They have been posting pictures and videos of themselves dancing online that have been getting a lot of attention. It's kind of risky dancing. 17-year-olds, I'm calling them 17. I honestly don't know. They looked adult. They throw a can at the girl over here, and they hit her head with essentially a fizzy drink can. And she goes up, and she starts fighting one of the big black women there. The fight itself looks really badly done, because what can a child do to a woman? So the woman pushes her to the floor, turns her around, pulls her pants down, reveals her panties. We have the shot over there, and people around them start filming it, saying "little girl panties, little girl panties," and apparently post this online in order to ruin their reputation. Not only would that not happen, but these are either adults or borderline adults attacking a minor, posting pictures of minor panties online. We're gonna click off this shot because I don't want to linger on it, honestly. And nothing is being done about it. Like, if a video of... Imagine you saw a video of an 11-year-old child getting their pants pulled down in public with people around them chanting "little girl panties" online. What you would do normally is report this, because this isn't the kind of legal footage that you can post. Actually, it is illegal to post footage with minors in it in general, not only sexualized footage. If it's not your kid, you can't post it. Okay? And these adults, they do that. And they get off scot-free. Nothing is done about this. This isn't seen as an issue in the movie. Not only would that never happen, but if somebody tried to make this happen, it wouldn't happen. They would get arrested. That is like so not okay. Moving on to my thumbnail. At this point, the movie has been going downhill so much that I was like, I'm only watching because I have a bit of it remaining. I may as well finish it. It actually goes uphill right at the end again, but it goes downhill so much that even if you were watching this with a legitimate interest, you might just like... You might have left it twerking at the guard guy, honestly, or at little girl panties. You might have just gone, what the heck am I doing with my life, and clicked off. But she steals about 200 euros from her mother, from the looks of it, and she takes her friends shopping. Shopping for clothes. It's a bit early for 11-year-old girls. Maybe they all had puberty especially early. I was still playing with Barbies when I was 11. Well, if I was 13 or 14, this might be more of a thing that I would do, as in go to a store to get some clothes, having interest in that. But she steals her mother's cash to do it. And they buy bras. And then they put these bras on top of their clothes. and run through the street while throwing extra bras into the air. That's the thing flying right above my head right now. At no point in my life would I have considered doing that. Not at 10, not at 15, not at 20, not at 5. Because you have this intrinsic sense of shame. At the very least, even if one of them was crazy enough to do that, all of them wouldn't be crazy enough to follow suit. Do you know any cases of teenagers going out to buy bras, putting on bras and sexy panties on top of their clothes, and running down the street throwing them in the air? I am honestly curious because this kind of behavior is just so alien to me that I don't see any intelligent individual ever performing this kind of action. It doesn't help that in this shot, this girl right over here, she's wearing a miniskirt and she put the panties on top of the miniskirt, and I'm pretty sure that she actually doesn't have a pair of panties underneath that miniskirt, so when the camera focuses on her, it is extra awkward. Why? Why would you do a shot like this? You could have had them discreetly go to the store and show them buying something. Why did you do this? No living person would ever do this, no matter how much adult they would feel from having a bra. Okay, having a bra is a big thing, but you have a sense of shame. You do. You don't run through a public street. Nobody acts like that. Going to the next scene of, well, the guy who she stole the phone from figured out that she stole his phone, and he flips out on her, and she starts undressing. He has the only correct response, which is, "What the hell are you doing?" and pushes her off. Which is fine. What the hell was she doing? Then she snaps the phone out of his hand after biting his hand, runs to the toilet, takes a screenshot of her cooch, posts that online, then gives the phone back. Nobody finds this out until some kid grabs her ass in the middle of the class next day, and when teacher confronts him, he says, "What? She's posting her hoo-ha online." Either way, it is so disturbing. It is so disturbing because nobody in their right mind would do this or would think that this is how you're supposed to behave or think that this is a good thing to do. Now, this child also has very little in the sense of repercussions. Her parent did catch her stealing before, and all they gave her was a bit of a silent treatment of just not talking to her. They still served her food, they didn't punish her, they didn't hit her. They went silent, and they kind of fainted at the table, food table, so they probably went without meds or without food or something because her daughter stole 200 euros. Go out and buy some panties. She doesn't know the consequences of it. She doesn't know the consequences of anything. Even when they find out that she did this, their response is to do some sort of really weird exorcism, where once again, I feel like the only reason why this scene would ever be in the movie is because this is somebody's fantasy, because their version of exorcism is to have her in her undies and to throw water on her. Like, they're throwing blessed water or whatever, and she gets on the floor and she starts twerking and she starts throwing her ass up and down and doing all sorts of moves while they're continuously just throwing water on her. Never have I ever seen that in a movie. I haven't seen an exorcism turned sexy, especially from an 11-year-old, and nobody even tries to snap her out of it. They're just like, yeah, go girl, continue throwing water. Yeah, you don't get worried about this. Just continue throwing water. Why would you ever put this? Not only is this not really a consequence for her actions, it's really... The only reason you would put this is because this turns you on. I don't see any other reason why I would leave this scene in. Like, if you edited out some scenes and upped the age of the girls to about 13, 14, or whatever it would make sense for them to want to go out and get bras and to want to do sexy dancing, it would be a risque movie, it would be on the line, borderline movie, but this is an 11-year-old girl, and you are adding a lot of scenes just for the sake of it. It's not bringing anything to the plot. It's not doing anything for the person watching it, unless the reason why they're watching this is to jack off. That is my perspective. And now we have hit about the lowest point of the movie. The main character doesn't stop being shit, by the way. She's a shitty human being. It's the kind of human being that you would really, really want to punch, or at the very least slap, or give some sort of repercussion if they were your child. I'm not advocating for child abuse in here, but there have been no repercussions for any of her actions, and they keep on escalating. But the movie starts going uphill from here. We're not even in the dancing scene that everybody's sharing online, but it's, trust me, it's uphill from here. It's about as down as the movie gets. The wedding day comes, and you have some weird visuals again, where the new dad's bride come out of the room that the girls weren't allowed to enter throughout majority of the movie. They snuck in there to play on the bed because it's all nice furniture, it's all new furniture and everything. But they normally are not allowed into that room, and they show the bride, and you can't actually see the woman. You just see a white sheet and you see smoke coming up. And it's nice visualism now that we have established with the dress shot that she is kind of hallucinating these things, because when she got her period, her grandmother was like, oh, kind of off topic, honestly. And her auntie, not her grandmother, she was like, oh yeah, I got that when I was about your age too, and then 2 years later they married me off. And I was wearing this beautiful white wedding sheet. You couldn't even like see me in it, and they walked around and presented me to all of my new family. And it was great. I wish for that kind of future for you. She sees that bride, and she sees like a puff of white smoke, and she gets scared. She gets scared and she runs, and she hits like this basket of glitter that falls into her hair as she runs out. And then she runs, she goes to a train station, she changes into her dance clothes. And at this point, she is not welcome in the dance group because she posted a screenshot of her cooch online. And I think nobody reported that or took that down. And I am very, very concerned for the law enforcement of whatever country they're in right now. They didn't want to be seen as prostitutes. They're like, you're not welcome. So they take in the girl from the very start of the movie, the one that did a thing with the camera, and they take her back in. And she's on her way to the dance competition, and this cunt comes out with her full dance outfit and pushes her into the water and watches her drown. Thankfully she doesn't drown, but that shot lingers. Like, you tried to kill a child. You tried to kill a child. Oh my god, what is wrong with you? Law enforcement should have gone to you if your parents didn't. For your own sake and safety. Just so that you have some sort of structured environment that teaches you the way of the people, for you seem to have no idea how to interact with people to a point where you considered murdering somebody in order to get to a dance competition. They start doing the dancing. Thankfully, the audience has a fairly bad reaction to it. You can see clips of the dancing all over Twitter right now. I'm not gonna show it to you. It's kind of sexualized. They hit each other's bums and they work the floor and stuff like that. You get it. It's effectively having sex with the floor for an 11-year-old. It's not good. But thankfully, the audience has a fairly negative reaction to it. It's a whole bunch of moms in the audience, and they start like covering the kids' faces. There's mild booing, but at one point she turns around and she hallucinates that glitter that she hid falling from her hair. And she runs off stage, and she runs all the way back home, and she's crying for her mom. And she goes and hugs her mom, and her mom is preparing to leave for her dad's second wedding. And the daughter says, "Mom, please don't go," because she knows how much pain the mother is in. She's probably misbehaving partly because of what's happening in her family. And the mother goes, "No, I'm going. But you know what? You don't need to go." And I don't know if that was kindness to a girl, or if that was to break off between her and her mother, where their relationship falls apart irreparably. Because now remember that they haven't been talking for a lot of this movie because this child steals, and this child posts pictures of her hoo-ha online. And remember that she hasn't been being reprimanded for that. They tried exorcism. That's what they tried. Yeah. She takes off her dance clothes. Thankfully, we can't see her undress. I wouldn't have been putting it past the movie to show her undress. And there is that wedding dress for her dad's wedding on the bed, and next to it is the dance clothes, and she dresses into normal people clothes and goes out and jumps the jump rope, looking fairly relieved, meaning that the point at the end of the movie is that she has chosen her childhood over whatever she was doing and over the traditionalism of her family. I liked that point of the movie. That point of the movie was fine, and about like half the movie at the start was fine. A whole bunch of pointless scenes that you put in just because you could are not fine. If the plot, okay, was just their show and just the father's wedding, that would have been enough. And people would still be arguing online that it's quite sexualizing because the way that they're dancing is quite sexualizing. But no, you have the random scene of them watching porn in the bathroom. You have the random scene of her trying to catch boys' privates on camera. You have that scene where they work to a security guard in order to be let off. What? You have that scene of inflating a condom. You have a whole bunch of really what the hell scenes. You have that exorcism scene, for one thing. You have the scene of her taking a picture of her hoo-ha and posting it online. You didn't need that. You didn't need all of those extra tiny bits. All of those extra tiny bits do not come off as driving the plot, or as being important for the story, or as showing the evil modern society sexualization of women. Take them off as you wanting to have the child actress in her underwear doing these things. That's how that comes off, and that's a really big issue. So I am conflicted because I can't say that it's absolutely irredeemable. I can't see that somebody was trying to make a movie and the ending of it is fairly good. But at the same time, if I was Netflix, I wouldn't have approved of its existence here, and I would unfortunately have to investigate whoever was shooting it, because it feels like a lot of things child actresses were forced to do that are not appropriate for the children to do, And considering that they enacted these scenes, this is now 17 plus, they can't even see what they made because it's that inappropriate. Is it the only movie that plays with inappropriate ideas? No, we have creative works such as Lolita. We have creative works dealing with child prostitution. But this movie felt like it had that dark undertone of something really bad was happening in the studio that made them make the actresses do things that you shouldn't make young actresses do, not for the sake of driving the plot, but for the sake of watching that child in the underwear get thrown water on them. Watching them hump the floor while having "please kill me" expression on their face. I am concerned, and I do not believe that this should be on Netflix, but welcome to my one and only movie review that I will probably do this on this channel, because this is normally a gaming channel. I try to stick to just to gaming. There are a lot of other things that I could comment about, but I try to stick to gaming because gaming's my happy place. Take from that what you will. I can't tell you don't watch it. Maybe skip some scenes. Maybe watch it out of morbid curiosity. It is pretty horrifying at points. It has a nice ending. But at the same time, I don't see why Netflix is endorsing it, why they're keeping this up, or why a lot of the scenes were necessary. I don't think that, oh, this is the experience of the director herself, this is her story, as a justification for putting some of the things that she put into the movie. Like, if I was presented with that script, I would have trimmed it. Because there is a lot of sexualization that doesn't need to be there, that doesn't drive the plot, and that gives plot holes, if anything. This has been my opinion. If anyone has an opinion on the Cuties, because you have watched it out of morbid curiosity, please share it. The only good thing that I'm gonna say is that it wasn't on the front page of Netflix when I went on today. I had to actively search for it. It's not like they're super advertising it, but they shouldn't have stuck to their guns. They should just not have put it up. It's not... The movie's borderline, but it gives me very bad vibes. You see the movie and you know that something bad has happened during the filming of that movie. You don't put that up. Just, you don't. But yeah. Thank you for watching, and I hope I'm gonna see you in my other videos that are gonna be more gaming focused. Toodaloo.